Good morning, this is Alex Bradley from Anything Geeky Reviewed. As my original plans for today were to record a Let's Play, but because of my recording software playing up, I can't seem to do that at the moment. Instead, what I'm going to do is give you a first glimpse at Warframe. Now, we're going to be doing first glimpses rather than first impressions, just to differentiate it a little until we can come up with a better name. And Warframe, well, for anybody that doesn't know, Warframe is a free-to-play third-person action shooter, I would say, on Steam at the moment. It's been out for a few months in open beta format, but please don't let that put you off. It is pretty stable, and it's got plenty of content to enjoy. So, let's go over the menu systems before we actually get into a game. Let's have a look. So, up here we've got the solo section. Now this can be changed to online play, private, which means you can host a private game and only your mates can join it. Invite only means, of course, you can only invite people and nobody else can join. And you've got solo. Now when you play online, the difficulty does seem to change. It seems to kind of equate to how many players are playing and up the difficulty accordingly, which is void keys, access to secret locations. Now I haven't actually unlocked any of these, but I presume these should be quite fun when I find out what they do. Up here we've got my profile name, the credits, and the in-game currency which you purchase via real money. Now let's have a look over here. This is the arsenal section. Now as you play the game, you will level up your gear. The more you use each piece of gear, the more it levels up. So this is the armor suit, or the Warframe itself. Let's have a quick look at the upgrade options for this. As you play the game, you unlock quite a lot of different weapons, modifications and things like that. Now you can buy them, but that uses real currency. This game is quite fair. You can find quite a lot of stuff free, so it's definitely worth a try for those who are worried about having to spend money. Now as you play the game, you will unlock extra modifications. Those modifications can then be used on your armor and weapons. Now as you see, my armor can be equipped with shock and speed at the moment. Now this can be changed simply by dragging it in and out. Let's have diamond skin. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, sorry about that. I've been wondering what these symbols mean for quite a while, and I noticed when I put my shock into this one over here, it seemed to decrease the cost. So usually over here it costs 3 to use. I put it into that slot and it only requires 2. Now I've just realised what that is, because this one went up to 5 when I put it into that slot. Now seems to be, I can't seem to hover over it, the symbol by number 3. That seems to be like a wave symbol. Now that matches that. So let's see what symbol that's a weird kind of diamond eye. Most of the ones I've got seem to be kind of a speed icon. So I presume those icons then get a reduced penalty. Interesting. They must half when they're in that slot. That's quite an interesting discovery. Sorry about that. So each one of these little symbols relates to a certain type of card. You put it into that slot and that card will then get a bonus, and usually half the amount it takes to normally put it in. I mean, 10 slots, that means your suit has to be level 10 before you can put that in normally. With one of these icons you can reduce that down to level 5, but of course you can't have anything else in at the same time. So that's quite a nice discovery. Let's put my suit back the way it was. Now you can do exactly the same with these. Most I've found with the weapons themselves are passive, whereas the armor abilities I just showed you, the shock and the speed, you actually have to activate them during combat, and they can be quite useful. These are usually just kind of passive abilities like 25% critical hit and plus 5 reload. So they're pretty much identical. Again, each one levels up. You can have several different versions. So if you want your A class to have certain cards, but your B class to have certain different cards, say damage or higher rate of fire, you can do that. I'm not quite sure how within the game you swap between those modes, unless of course you do it here, but that would be a bit pointless swapping mode before you even get in the game, when you could probably just swap the cards out. Depends on how many cards I suppose you have. That can be done with every weapon, and again, the more you use it, the more it levels up. Now you also have abilities to use sentinels, which as far as I know, they are kind of little creatures that hover over your shoulder, like little pets I suppose. This one here comes with a shotgun weapon, so some of them might be quite useful in combat as little backup support units. We have our inventory, which shows our Warframe. These can be collected. There are quite a few different Warframes to be had. Weapons, miscellaneous. These are different parts towards blueprints. Now you find blueprints during the game. Each blueprint is usually for a weapon, a new Warframe, or other kind of items. They can be quite rare sometimes, and they can be quite valuable. As you see here, I think if I sold that, it'd be worth 3,500 credits, which is about 2 missions worth of playing the game. And skins. Okay, let's have a quick look at mods. These are all the cards that you can modify your weapons with. Now, you've got 2 things you can do with these modifications. You can use fusion cores here to upgrade them. So if we click on shock, you can see it's a common one. It means it's already been upgraded once. If we have a look at another one, it just says common. So this bar down the side, each time you add a fusion core, that goes up. If it fills up, it goes up another level. It also goes up another requirement. So be careful, you may end up upgrading your card to the point where you can't use it, which won't be so good for you. So far I've also found that you can only upgrade it to common 3. I don't know whether you need extra rare fusion cores to upgrade it any further, or whether that's the maximum, but at the moment that is what I've found. And the other thing you can do, what we just talked about was fusion, by the way, fusing a card with a fusion core. Transmute allows you to select several cards. Fast hands is currently equipped, okay. Oh, I think that's equipped as well. Typical, there we go. And it allows you to apply transmute, but it always says I don't have enough credits. And because it doesn't tell me how many credits, I'm a little stuffed on how to get that to work at the moment. So, that is pretty much the armory section. Let's have a quick glimpse at the contacts. This is where if you start playing with a good group of friends or people online and you find that you work well as a team, you can invite them to your in-game friends list and use them again when you want to play a game in the future. That's pretty quick. Market, this is where again you spend the in-game currency you purchase. So this item over here costs 125 in-game credits, and it seems to include inventory slot and catalyst melee weapon. Oh, it increases melee damage, punches and kicks. That's interesting. So let's go on to the foundry. This is where you use your blueprints. So you find blueprints randomly throughout games, but you also find resources throughout the game. Now as you see, I've got 2 sets of resources that I have. And I have enough of to create the blueprint, but I still need 50 units of ruby dough. So I have to keep playing at the game until I find that. I think you can buy resources off the market, but again, that costs real world money. So I think that is pretty much the menu system. This is the layout of the map. So as you can see, you've got the Earth, or the Sol system, as most people call it. Now you start off, if you hover over the system, you get the little resources down the side that tell you what is it located in that system. So if you need something specific, you need to go to a certain system. There we go, Rubido is on Earth. So I need to do missions within Earth to get that resource. Now I think we start at Mercury, we do indeed, on the Terminus system. Each planet has a certain set of missions. As you scroll around to Venus and Earth, you get expands the tree, so you kind of follow the tree up as you complete missions. I'm not sure what you kind of encounter on the later missions. As you can see, I seem to have bugged that out a little bit. It doesn't happen often, but Still happens occasionally. I've reached Elton, and I've completed Elton, and now I've got a tree where I can branch off a little bit. So I think that is pretty much it. What I will be doing next is showing you the gameplay. So as I've just given you a tour of the menu, I'll be diving straight into the game. Let's try the original mission so it's not too difficult. Now from what I've found playing it solo and multiplayer is considerably harder. You do have to work as a team to complete the missions and revive each other and cover each other's backs, but you still don't really need to use cover. This isn't a cover-based shooter. This is more kind of a walk in the open, shoot everything, and if you can't shoot it, you stab it kind of shooter, which is nice for a change. It's got some really beautiful graphics as well. I'm actually rather shocked it still works on this laptop, but I'm not going to complain.
You need to destroy the ship's reactor. Keep going. Nobody knows you're here.
Yet. Now, if I remember correctly, you can sneak up on enemies.
That's good.
Smash that.
The reactor will have tight security, so look for large patrols of Grenier.
If you can sneak past most of the enemies, or at least some of them, you can avoid setting off some of the alarms, which can be very helpful. Whoops. That didn't work very well. As you can see, it's primarily a third-person shooter, but there is melee combat. I'll show you that against the next enemy I come across, I think. There we go, sneak attack from behind. Now each Warframe does have its differences. Certain Warframes are a little more used to, or better at melee combat. As you can see, mine isn't brilliant at it. I have to hack and slash quite a bit, but I think what I picked was a general Warframe, so it's good at both but not brilliant at either, which is fine with me. I'd much rather have that than have to rely on one ability and not be able to use the other at all. As you can see, I don't really have to use cover. I do have a shield and health bar in the top right corner. It's at the moment it's 210 shield, 140 health bar. Now the two bars beneath that, the blue one is my specials ability. I'll show you my shock in a second, and the green one is my stamina. So if I run here, you can see that goes down. So let's see if we can find our way. Got some more enemies. I'll use my shock on this bugger. There we go. It's quite damaging and it's very useful for jumping between targets. Did I stop him in time? I think I did. As you can see, there are a couple panels lying around, and if the guards do get to them in time, they set off the alarms, and that's something you want to try and avoid as much as possible. It doesn't stop your ability to play the game, not at all. As you can see, the game isn't massively difficult, but if you do get ganged up by 3 or 4 enemies, you will be struggling to take some of them down. I think some of them have just gone to set off the alarm, I think. Let's get this crate while I got a chance. Now you do get loot from enemy bodies, but you also get them from those little crates that you've got to smash open. So it's always useful to look around a little bit, as loot in this game is quite rare. or at least the useful kind of loot is quite rare. There we go, got a new card. That should be useful. And at the moment that is the only way of getting extra cards and unlocks, is by playing the game and unlocking them. So the more you play it, the more you stand a chance of unlocking extra goodies. Let's slice him up a bit with some melee combat, shall we? As it just... Now I have seen one or two of the allies that I've played with online have some quite cool abilities. One of them I've seen is a ability to freeze everything nearby them, and then they just kind of finish them all off with a nice slash with their weapons. Second is one of the Warframes can have twin blades, and that can be quite useful when playing. Of course it does a lot more damage in melee combat, certainly a lot more than what mine does.
Target destroyed. Proceed to the extraction point.
But the beauty of this game is you can collect different Warframes.
No detection.
You don't
Sensors.
have to stick with one. If you can unlock the others, then you can play them. The first one you pick is basically just the first free Warframe you get. Now each mission has a different set of objectives. So this mission is a sabotage mission. The device I just had to shoot all the little outcoming power tubes from, that was I presume their generator. Now because I've sabotaged that, the mission is complete. I have to evacuate. So I'm trying to find, that door should be the right way out. I hope this hasn't bugged out again. I've only had one bug out with it so far, and that's... no, you don't. And that is with it single player again, weirdly enough. I've not had it bug out in multiplayer. But, so that. It does seem to bug out slightly more in single player, whereas it doesn't recognise the objectives have been completed, which is not great. Yeah. Trying to get the little shit. Come here. I do wish on the map that it had the ability to show where enemies are, because that would be quite useful, especially when playing multiplayer. It can get a little bit hectic when there's 4 of you on the field and you're all trying to find some enemies to kill.
Bypass complete. You may proceed.
Yeah. Like I said, it is definitely worth searching those lockers. I've noticed when playing online, doesn't matter who smashes it up, if they gather the loot, you all get a share of the loot. So I'm trying to think. I was playing a game the other day. I think it was Torchlight. You know, in Torchlight 2, when you get loot from the game, from the enemies, sorry, and God, I am shit at talking and fighting at the same time. I really am. So sorry if I keep pausing. It's simply because I'm trying to concentrate. So in Torchlight 2, you've got the ability where any loot from an enemy that pops up, you all get to take it. There's not a system like, oh, will you just please die, because you're getting annoying on now. There we go. Sorry about that. Let's finish these buggers off, shall we? There we go. Now I've got some decent quiet I can think. In Torchlight 2, the loot system works by any loot the enemy drops, everybody can pick up. So not one person can hoard it, you all get the same sort of loot from each enemy. Now of course what you pick up is randomly generated, so you might not pick up the same weapons that your mate has picked up, but it means that everybody gets some loot. Now in this it seems exactly the same. Once you knock up one of these crates you can pick up the items, but your mate can still pick up the same sort of items. It still stays there for them. There we go, finally got it out. And now our mission has been completed, our main job now is to get out alive if possible. Now who else is shooting me? Again, without a mini-map to... well, we've got a mini-map, but without a map to actually show us where the enemies are, it can be sometimes quite a pain in the arse just to find out where they are. I would have thought with all this lovely advanced gear on me and advanced armour and speed and shit, you'd actually have a sensor system which could pick up enemy positions and overlay it, but maybe that's my geeky side coming out too much. Ooh, I am now out of ammo for my rifle. I'll have to use my pistol from now on. Come on, you coward. So that is the advantage of using your blades. You do save a bit of ammo doing so. Yes, this game also does not mind having you outflanked at every opportunity, so you do have to watch your back a little bit. It does make multiplayer sessions a bit more enjoyable as you cover each other. I think that's pretty much it, except for this little bug. There we go. So far I've only actually come across 2 different enemies, and that seems to be the ones that charge at you and the ones that like these big grunts who seem to hide behind cover and try and take you out that way. I don't know whether later on, because there's quite a lot of missions by the looks of it, we'll get some other creature types, but I hope so, because so far the game hasn't disappointed. Of course, explosive barrels lying around that can be used quite effectively. You've just got to get the buggers close enough to them.
The bypass is done. Go.
Little sneak. You don't have to kill every enemy, but you don't really want some of them coming up behind you and flanking you too much, especially when you're on your own. It's a lot more harder to disable that kind of... oh, not disable. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Basically make that an impossibility for the enemy. You don't want groups of large enemies coming up behind you while you're focusing on whatever's in front of you. And with Warframe, there certainly isn't a shortage of enemies. So the more you take out, the more you don't have to worry about later. Here we are, and this is the end. Mission complete. Now, as you see, during the game you do gain experience kind of naturally, and then right at the end you get a nice golden lump sum of bonus XP for completing the mission. So, and over there, you might have missed it, there were all the materials and goodies I unlocked from completing the mission. Now, it is only 4-player, even in the survival mode as far as I know, but you do get all the stats and rewards that each player gets. So as you can see, I did 100% of everything because I was the only player there. I don't seem to be the best at dealing damage during multiplayer matches, but I do good at avoiding it, so obviously that's not too bad on my part. And that has been Warframe. So if you've enjoyed that, or if you have any questions at all, please let me know. It is free to play on Steam at the moment, and it's currently in open beta, but like I say, I haven't really had any issues except for 1 or 2 tiny glitches during single player. Multiplayer seems to work like a dream. So let me know in the comments below, and good day to you, sir.